people of the internet? I am Lucha Man. Welcome to Lucha Man Reviews. We apologize, here at Channel Pirate Captain Jeff, we apologize for the lack of content there's been for a while. Things have happened in the real world, blah blah blah. So anyway, we have some videos that we have filmed, but we still need to edit and then produce. And then there's going to be some videos after this that are going to be filmed and edited and produced. So this has been filmed, and this will be the first one. The rest, it's being put up on display out of order, just to let you know that there is more content coming. So we thank you for your time and your patience. On today's episode, I am reviewing Ghosts from CBS. Now, what is Ghosts? The show is about a woman named Samantha and her husband Jay. Samantha's great aunt just recently passed away, and she's inherited a mansion. After having a near-death experience, she and her husband double down and sink all their money into it to turn it into a bed and breakfast. But there's just one caveat. Because of her injury, and now that she's back, Samantha is now able to see, hear, and interact with the ghosts of people who have passed away on the property. It's interesting because how would I describe the show? It's kind of like Beetlejuice in a sense. You see the people, how they've passed on, but is only Sam can see them and interact with them, and of course we the audience can, and sometimes they take out the ghosts just for the effect of, oh, we're seeing what Jay sees, as in nothing. So I compare this with Beetlejuice mixed with the show Do Not Feed the Humans. It was a sci-fi network animated series I reviewed. Aliens had abducted people from different time periods, so yeah, the ghosts on the property include her great-great-great-great-great-grandmother, a United States American Revolution soldier who worked with Alexander Hamilton, a singer from the Roaring '20s, a hippie from the '60s, a scout master from the '80s, the quintessential '90s businessman, and a bunch of people who died of cholera that are residing in the basement now. Interesting thing is, she not only sees ghosts on her property, she sees ghosts when she's away from the property. The visual effects are pretty good for when they travel through solid objects, and there's also, if they get interact with a human, they turn into smoke. So some good visual effects. Oh, and also there's a Viking who, because he got hit by lightning, has electrokinesis, able to manipulate electricity. Yeah, so the ghosts do have some powers and abilities where they can affect those who are still alive. And since they now actually have a living person that they can interact with, they are learning about the world, and like they ask for requests. Please bake something so we can enjoy the smell, or please leave the radio on in the afternoon. It's a very funny show and I enjoy it. There's a couple of problems, but overall I'd say this is a very good series. I'm hoping it gets multiple seasons, and I'm wondering how will they, what's going to happen with, if characters retire from the show or pass on in the real world, and how this will affect. So 2-3 seasons potentially. I'm hoping so. The interesting thing is, for all the ghosts, the budget for costumes is basically everyone looks the same. They can't really change their attire after they've passed on, so the only costume changes would be for those who are still alive. So the Viking, like I said, affects electricity. The quintessential 90s guy, he's the only one who is close to a poltergeist who can actually physically interact with stuff in the real world. The flapper, Roaring '20s singer is able to, they can kind of hear her partially. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. So it's a good show. I'd recommend it. I give Ghosts an 8 out of 10. Now, it lost some points because, well, I gave it an 8 out of 10, and that's all the time we have for this episode. So stick around for after the show for the after the show spoilers, starting right now. Okay, thank you for sticking around for the after the show spoilers. So here's why the show lost some points. In the first episode, it's both the pilot and the first episode. One of the other residents he looks like, based on the leather jacket, I'd say the quintessential greaser from the 1950s, who we see in the first episode has lost their head. And then we don't see them for a couple episodes until the Halloween episode, which we just see some headless ghosts walking around. So it's like, okay, yeah. Now I understand how sometimes a pilot, after the pilot's aired, some stuff has changed before it gets to the main series, but first, not only was it the pilot, it is the first episode that ties everything together. But there is one other problem. In the aforementioned Halloween episode, the Scoutmaster said, the quintessential 90s guy was talking about the movie Ghostbusters. He says, hey, let's watch it. And the Scoutmaster from the 1980s says, oh, okay, I'll give it a shot. The film came out the year after I died. Okay, so I looked this up. Ghostbusters came out in 84, which means he would have had to have died in 83. But then, what's this? The very literal next episode is focusing on the Scoutmaster, and it cuts back to the year and the moment where he died, which was the timestamp says 1985. So someone clearly dropped the ball on the script, or didn't tell someone in post-production or editing about. So this annoys me. It's like it is literally the next episode. If this was like 4 or 5 seasons later on, I can understand maybe someone missing something, but come on, really? By the next episode, you're gonna forget the year that the guy died when there's clearly a timestamp indication. Yeah, so that's why it gets an 8 out of 10. If they want to keep the show going, they need to make sure to pay attention to the show script. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. Until next time, this has been Lucha Man for Lucha Man Review, saying thank you for watching, and as always, have a nice day.